What's the deal, YouTube? This is your guy, Tyler A.
And your boy, analysts.
And this is Clutch City Connect. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, we have a very special guest. My main man, Coty Davis, decided to stop by. And I'm not going to go too much into explaining who this guy is. He is a very good guy. I'm going to let my main man have the floor.
What's up, guys? Thank you for that introduction. Once again, my name is Coty M. Davis. You can follow me on Twitter at Coty Davis _24. Once again, it's Coty COTYDAVIS _24. And I am a beat reporter covering the Houston Rockets and the Houston Texans over at Sports Illustrated. I started around 2019 going into the 2020 season. So I can honestly say that I have been around ever since the downfall of both franchises. But what I would like to say, for the first time in like 3 years, there's reasons to feel excited about the Houston Texans and the Houston Rockets. And I understand the anger, the frustration on both fan bases, especially for the Houston Texans fans out there, i.e. Aaron. It's okay. Everything is going to be okay starting this upcoming season, because the one thing I will say, covering both the Rockets and the Texans on a daily basis, both franchises mirror each other, and both franchises are now in phase 2 of their rebuild. Now, that does not mean that all of a sudden they're gonna, be the team like there was with Deshaun, be the team like there was with James Harden, and they're competing for championship. No, it's still going to take them a while, but one, they're going to be watchable, and two, you're going to see a lot more wins for this upcoming season, especially with the Houston Rockets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, with that being said, also, guys, please check my man out on Locked On Texans if you are a Texans fan, man. It's really, really good. It's a really, really good podcast. I listen to it a lot. I love the how informative it is, especially on the Texans. Like he says, we get the hate, but the team is actually doing something to try to turn everything around. So I want to ask you this, my man. With you being around the Rockets during the Steven Silas era, and with them now hiring Ime Udoka, what is the aura like around the team? Like, what is the difference between when Steven Silas was the head coach and now with Ime Udoka?
Well, right now, first and foremost, you got to keep in mind that it's still early, and we haven't really had too many opportunities to be around Coach Ime Udoka. I think as of right now, we only been around him, let's say, about 3 or 4 times, but you could already tell the difference in comparing what it was like with Ime Udoka taking over and when Coach Steven Silas, took over. Because the one thing about Silas over the last 3 years, there was always a sense of unknown. You really didn't know what the direction of the franchise was going. Of course, everybody know the bad hand that he was dealt. Say what you want about Silas as a coach, but everyone got to keep in mind, and always try to bring this up, that this is a guy who came in to coach 2 Hall of Famers and ended up getting basically an AAU team, a good AAU team on certain occasions, but that is not what he agreed to. And, of course, with the Rockets going into a full-blown rebuild over the last 3 seasons, he had to guide and basically not only be a coach, but be somewhat of a father figure to a lot of these guys, because these guys are coming into the league at like 18, 19 years old, and they're still trying to find themselves off the court in the midst of trying to, get accustomed to the NBA, both on and off the court, because there is just so much that these guys are going through. So over the last 3 years with Steven Silas, it was just like, okay, what are we going into? Almost every single game, it was like, okay, just don't lose by 10. I mean, don't lose by 30. Don't lose by 20. Just go out there and be competitive. You really did not know. Even during the times when we talked to Raphael Stone, it was just, the goal was just to develop Jalen Green, develop Jabari Smith, develop KP, develop Alperen Şengün. The whole goal was just develop. Once again, say what you want about Coach Steven Silas, but he did a very good job laying a solid foundation for a lot of these young guys to build upon moving forward. The key word to all that is moving forward. Unfortunately, you move on from Steven Silas, but you bring in Ime Udoka. We know about the work that he did with the Boston Celtics. And now every time we talk to Rafael Stone, the one time we had an opportunity to talk to Tillman Fertitta, and even Coach Ime Udoka now, there is a sense of direction. And now there is also a sense of, okay, we are done with the losing. We are ready to compete, whether that's for the play-in tournament or whether that's for a legitimate spot in the playoffs. And I guess you might as well say compete in this in-season tournament now for the NBA Cup or whatever they want to call it. But, now everything about the organization for the Houston Rockets is about winning and about competing. And it hasn't been like that basically ever since James Harden and Russell Westbrook walked out the door.
For sure, man. That's man, that's a positive thing. Hopefully, as time goes on, we'll definitely get to learn more about Ime Udoka. Because I do like the fact that in his lone season at the Boston Celtics head coach, where there was a little bit of uncertainty of where the team was going to go in that season, that they were able to get to the NBA Finals. Now they didn't get they didn't win the NBA title, but them getting there and just his first season is like a major accomplishment, especially for what they were dealing with. It showed that he had a lot of integrity, and that he probably had to go off on some of the star players and get them to where he needs them to get in order to succeed. So I definitely do like that. So I'm going to kind of segue into the Rockets Summer League. So Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, their performances, how do you think their growth affects the Rockets?
They are still, the one thing, and I guess we could get into this later on in the show. The one thing about the Rockets moving on to phase 2, we knew that they was going to bring in veterans. And like I said, I know we're going to get into this later, but I have to bring this up now. I like the fact that the veterans that they brought in will not overshadow the development and the growth of the young guys. Because the one thing I love that what Rafael Stone and Ime Udoka did is like, yes, you brought in some veterans that's going to be able to help you on the court and off the court. But at the end of the day, majority of your success is still going to depend on Jalen Green. And of course, for the sake of this conversation right now, Jabari Smith and Tari Eason, because that is your building block. And those are guys that's basically going to help you whenever you reach phase 3, which is supposed to be winning the championship. But that being said, you can literally see the growth in both Jabari Smith Jr. That's because he got that Jalen Green shirt on that I just love, by the way. But and Jabari Smith and Tari Eason. And for me, in terms of Tari Eason, I just see him going out there, those 2 summer league games that he played. He just looked a lot more confident and just being that energy guy on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. Last year I saw it, but it was like he was kind of hesitant at times. If he continues with that confidence that he always showcased during these 2 games in the summer league, he's definitely going to take that next step. As for Jabari Smith Jr., look, I understand the summer league. I understand it was just 2 games. However, the one thing I can say and share about Jabari Smith, he took a very short break after the season was over. Their final game was against Washington. He took a very short break, and he's basically been spending the majority of his summer in Houston working out like 2 or 3 times a day. And you can actually see the development and the growth in that young man's game. And I know a lot of people are talking about the fact that in 2 games, he averaged, 34, 35 points. But for me, I was more impressed by his passing, the way he was able to showcase his versatility of seeing the floor and stuff. The Rockets over the last 2-3 years, we have talked about wanting more players who can actually be more facilitator and stuff. And that shocked me about Jabari Smith, because I've been on a Jabari Smith Jr. train going back to his days at Auburn. I remember a lot of people was talking about drafting Paolo. I was actually hoping and praying that one way or another, the Rockets got their hands on Jabari Smith, because I felt that he was the best player when you compare Paolo, Chet, and himself going back into the 2022 campaign, because I felt he was the best version of both players. And unfortunately, that's what the Houston Rockets got. And once again, man, the way he has been playing, and there's a difference. I know a lot of people want to talk about the talent aspect of things. But you can know he had in his game. I think that the game against the Detroit Pistons, he's going up against James Wiseman, and he did this move with like the footwork. I was just like, where did that come from? So you can literally see him just getting better and better. And it's the same thing with Tari, the confidence as well. And I can't now wait what the second year is going to be like for that young man.
For sure. What are your thoughts, my man Aaron? What are your thoughts?
The same thing, that confidence. I mean, they both look at 2 summer league games. Jabari's confidence, I think, here the second year has grown so much. But I heard a lot of reports I was starting Jabari, like kind of using him more like a spot up corner 3-point shooter or whatever. But you could tell like Jabari's got a lot of moves in his system that Emmanuel does like that a lot, man. I mean, the way he was just dribbling and foul and one shots like almost every play he took and shooting it. And Jabari's gonna be nice. And so same thing for Tyree. I mean, he's gonna be that next 6-man off the bench that's gonna spark up the guys on the bench with Dylan Brooks getting his rest.
For sure. I definitely like what I saw from both players. I guess you can also say too, with Tari Easton, I saw him take more initiative. And maybe that's just because it's summer league and those guys are kind of seen as the vets on the summer league team. So they're expected to kind of outperform or overperform rather. But I saw actually both of them. I'll give them both credit. I think they both took initiative in making sure that, hey, we gotta get this win. Let's get this win. And then on top of that, the one thing that I did notice with Jabari Smith Jr. is, I'm sorry, y'all, goodness, with Jabari Smith Jr. is, what about that 3-point shot? My word, I mean that's coming off of what he did last season when he hit that. I mean, that shot was extremely difficult when he hit that shot. I forgot who it was over, but
it was against the Pelicans. I want to say Jackson Hayes, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So yeah, okay, guys. What about Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore? What do you guys expect out of them in year one?
Amen, I will have to say this. At first, I wasn't a big Amen guy because with him coming over from Overtime Elite, I was like, one, what is that? And two, how can you draft a prospect coming from a league where your top competition is, basically just high schoolers in a way, I was concerned about it. And with I remember going through the draft, I kept saying, man, I just can't get behind this. Him and his brother, I was like, I can't get behind it because I don't know what this Overtime Elite is. I'm like, if he was a prospect that they was targeting at 20, I would be on board. But I'm like, at 4, I just don't know. However, once again, I understand it's summer league. However, you can tell that Amen Thompson is going to be different. And you can tell that Amen Thompson, and I am happy to say I was wrong, he was the right pick at number 4. And the one thing I love about him as of right now is the fact that this guy, one, it seems like he's going to have that dog in him and he's not going to be scared to compete. Because once again, I understand he only played one summer league game, but you go back to that first half when he had 11, what he's at? It was like 11, 4, and 5 or whatever. He was going up against Scoot Henderson. And the one thing I remember him and his brother talking about prior to the draft was, of course, everybody just thought that this draft was a 3-man draft. They would just kept talking about Victor, Brandon Miller, and Scoot Henderson. But I remember him and his brother was like, no, this draft is beyond a 3-man class. And we are 2 players that's going to make sure that happen. And I literally just finished watching Sir Thompson put on a great performance against the Toronto Raptors. And once again, that small sample size, I'm looking at I'm looking at the way how his ability to get to the basket, his court vision, my God, like what was that little drop-off pass that he hit Tari Eason with? It was just like, okay, I can see why he was rated as the second best point guard coming into this class. And now, just that small sample size. And honestly, God, I just hate the fact knowing that he got hurt in that first game. But I am actually more excited to see what the first year is going to be like for him. And I think he's actually going to have an opportunity to get accustomed to the NBA a lot easier than what we saw in Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, because there wasn't no veteran at neither one of those positions. And both of those guys was basically handed the keys to the franchise basically since day one. Now, with them signing Fred VanVleet, and of course, you got guys like Kevin Porter Jr., you got guys who have already been through the gauntlet of being a rookie, going through those struggles like Jalen, LP, Tari, and Jabari. Those guys are going to be able to help Amen Thompson get to the player where we think he's going to be in this league. And I think that support and that belief that he's going to have early in his stage is definitely going to be a situation where we see Amen Thompson go out there, most likely coming off the bench. Matter of fact, forget most likely. He will be coming off the bench. That's going to help his development and stuff both now and in the future. And I could say the same thing for Cam Whitmore as well, which I think that is the biggest steal of the draft. Forget summer league and all that. I just don't understand how in the world you let a lottery top 10 pick go from projected as high as number 4 and you fall all the way down. What was it? 2021, I think it was the 20th pick. 20. So I'm just like, and you could see through these first 3 summer league games, his hustle, the fact that he's going to make sure he give you everything on both sides of the court. And I just can't wait for a lineup between him and Tari Eason, because between those two, and I'm gonna throw Dylan Brooks in there as well. I don't think there's not going to be too many teams that's going to be able to score on the Rockets like we have seen over the last 2 seasons.
For sure. For sure. Goodness. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, for only one summer league game, he looked amazing. I mean, the floor looked so like spaced out. I mean, he's not hesitant to make that quick pass. He's going to throw it real quick, and that's what I liked. I liked he kept the ball moving. Floor space was amazing. I wish we got more games out of him, but I know he needs to rest up that. And same thing for Cam. I mean, Cam's hustle is absolutely outstanding. I love seeing him when he plays. He needs to work on that shot selection a little bit. He's going to be good. It's fine once he gets in the gym with Dylan and Fred and they work on him. He's going to be nice to see how far he goes.
For sure. Last segment, guys. I definitely agree with the both of you. So I definitely don't need to add no input, but last segment. On an A to F scale, Coty, Aaron, what are you giving the Rockets offseason moves?
Ooh. Who's going first, me or Coty?
I go. Honestly, if I had to grade it, I would grade it as an A-, man. Because like I mentioned at the start of the show, I love the fact, I really like the fact that Coach Ime Udoka, and General Manager Raphael Stone and everybody else who, made these free agency decisions. I like the fact how the veterans that they brought in is going to help this team both on and off the court, but more importantly, it's not going to overshadow the talent and the development of the young guys. And honestly, that's what I was afraid of. I mean, you guys, read the reports, heard, people talk about it, my colleagues, Jackson Gatlin, Kelly Iko, Big Sarge, Jonathan Fagan. I'm like, even myself, I mean, we reporting, we hearing James Harden and Kyrie Irving. And just like, I was like, if you bring these guys in, I mean, yeah, it's going to be exciting, but how is this going to benefit the Houston Rockets in the long run? And the fact that you brought in Fred and Dylan and Landale, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. The big man, Jock Landale. Like, I love the fact how all of those guys, and then I think it's phenomenal how the way they worked out their contract. Like, majority of their money is front base. I love that because when you look at most of them sound like a 3-year deal. By the time the contracts get less and less, by that time, I'm expecting Jalen and Jabari to be all-star caliber players. And then it also still gives them the financial flexibility to give out those rookie extensions that Jalen and Jabari and everybody else is going to be demanding when their contract and their time comes, man. I love it. And I think that was literally the perfect blueprint, the perfect roster construction for both now and in the future.
All right, Aaron. A, B, C, D, F.
Oh, yeah, I would give it about an A minus. I mean, that Dylan Brooks contract kind of scared me a little bit, but I mean, it's going to work out in the long run, so I'm not too tripping about that. The Fred Bland, I think that was a really good, solid contract. His third year is a team option, which I like that. Jock Landale was, I think, the biggest surprise as far as backup center, but I seen highlights of him. He can really play. And Aaron Holiday, we'll see what he does, but I think overall, yeah, A minus. They got the right head coach, 2 top 10 picks in the draft, did solid in free agency. They get an A minus.
I'm gonna give it an A minus. I do like the move that they made, just to kind of keep it a little bit short. I do like the move that they made. I feel like they made moves that make them better. And this is just signings. I'm not going to give them a grade for the trades. I think that's a whole separate issue. But I definitely do like the signing of Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and also Jock Landale. And Jeff Green, he comes back to Houston. And Aaron Holiday. I think those are all solid moves. But I want to go ahead and say, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to Clutch City Connect. I want to thank my main man, Coty Davis, for joining us. I want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. And also follow my guy here. His information will be in the description below. I want to thank you guys so much once again. This is Clutch City Connect. Peace.
Peace.